it is an area which is inhabited by the Vrishnis or the Andhakas. As Dr. Meenakshi Jain enlightened all of you, the Andhakas and the Vrishnis, particularly the Vrishnis, is the same clan from which Devkiputra Krishna, whose description that we see in Chandogya Upanishad, belong from. Govind Dev Ji's temple comes up by Raja Man Singh under the patronage of Akbar. So Akbar gave 134 bighas of zameen. The farmans are there as for the temple's service, and also red sandstone, which was used in any Mughal architecture those days. Aurangzeb, after bringing it down, had built a mazar on top of that, so that every day people can climb up and offer the prayers over there. So, first of all, on behalf of IHAR, I would like to congratulate and convey our sincere best wishes to Ma'am Neera Mishra ji and the Draupadi Foundation for doing this excellent work they have been doing for the last 2 decades. And also sincere gratitude for having us over here. So today I will cover Vraj Mandal, but as Dr. Meenakshi Jain has very effectively covered the Sri Krishna Janmabhoomi, I will not touch upon that, and rather I will look at the bigger spectrum of Vraj Mandal. And when I started discussing with Neera ma'am about how to go about it, and we planned together that we'll try to plot those places in the entire Vraj Mandal, maybe a few sample ones, which still exists today from Satyayug, and what were the key incidents that categorize those places, and probable some current locations of those. And in that process, what I did was to prepare the presentation in a very simplistic manner so that it is very easy and arouses the interest for whosoever is seeing this presentation later on online and even in the audience today, and try to make it more interesting. So we'll go with what does the word Vraj means. So the word Vraj derived from the Sanskrit word dhatu, which means motion and movement. And if I look at the Vedic corpus, be it the Rig Veda or the Yajur Veda or the other Vedas, it mostly refers to cows, grazing grounds, and where the cows moving, Gaushalas. So basically it moves around the cow at the Gaushala segment. But when we look at Harivansh Puran or Srimad Bhagavatam, it clearly states that it is an area which is inhabited by the Vrishnis or the Andhakas. And as Dr. Meenakshi Jain enlightened all of you, the Andhakas and the Vrishnis, particularly the Vrishnis, is the same clan from which Devkiputra Krishna, whose description that we see in Chandogya Upanishad, belong from. So Vraj Mandal per se, as you can see from the map, is just not about Vrindavan, it's just not about Mathura or Gokul. It has a plethora of places, the 84 crores Vrajbhumi, which is around 160 plus miles. And the boundary finds mention in almost all the Purans that I have referred over here. And most importantly, in Vaman Puran, which is also, just to catch upon what Arjun and Jijit referred, the Vaman Puran is one which has the highest number of verses pertaining to Kurukshetra, but Vaman Puran defines Kurukshetra as Mathura Mandal and not Vraj Mandal. So that's the only one difference. In the other Puranic context, in terms of geographical expanse, Vraj is a perfect example of natural heritage, archaeological heritage, epigraphical inscriptions, rivers, and everything. And that is why if you see our Puranic references, it has 12 major ones. And out of those 12 major ones, some of the ones I'm sure Vrindavan is one of them. Mahavan, which has seen a lot of genocides, is one of them. Madhuban is one of them. So today, in our later slides, I have covered Madhuban because in all the Puranic texts or the Mahapurans that we refer to, Madhuban finds the number 1 place, and every activity right from the Satyayug, even today, those places are preserved in Madhuban. And I have given the lat-longs of those villages where it exists today. So I'm sure you'll find it very interesting with the current pictures which are there. So as Mathura Mandal, we had in Manusmriti, it is mentioned as Sursen, and Swambhu Manu goes on to describe this region as a part of the Brahmarshi Desha, and within Brahmarshi Desha lies Brahmabarta, which is the area or the Doab area between Saraswati and Drishavti, which Arjun and Jijit also had touched upon. It is one of the 7 holiest places as described in Garud Puran, and Padma Puran, it is mentioned as Mathura is holier than Kashi even. Also, many synonyms. Mathura is the current day name, but the Puranic names Madhupuri, Madhupura, Madhura from the Sati and Tretadu. But before we proceed, one important thing I wanted to share with all of you, that in these days, there are a lot of research happening around Mahabharata, but what people or the general mass misses out to read is the Harivansh Puran. And what is this Harivansh Puran? And anybody who is interested in Mahabharata should also read the Harivansh Puran. And that's why I thought that I'll touch upon this in a single slide. So it's, as you rightly understand, Harivansha, Harika Vansh. So the genealogy of Hari, which is 60,000 plus verses, it's a killa or a supplement or an appendix to Krishna Dvaipayan's Vedavyas. So mark the words Krishna Dvaipayan because that's the actual name of Maharishi Vedavyas. And Vedavyas is a it's a position given in those days, which were anybody who is a master of, Shastras or Vedas. It is the Itihasa, as Dr. Meenakshi Jain rightly identified. It is the Itihasa of the Vrishnis and the Andhakas. And it's a continuous dialogue between Maharshi Ugrasrava and Maharshi Saunaka. It is also a dialogue between Maharshi Janmeja and Maharshi Vaishampayan, the people who were present in the Sarpasatra Yajna, after which was hosted by Maharaj Janmeja to take care of the serpents and kill them because Takshak had taken down his father, Maharaj Parikshit. Dedicated to the life of Hari and his lineage, and the Pandavas and the Vrishnis, as the lineage defined by Jijit, they have a common ancestor in Maharaj Yayati. And most important, Harivansh Puran or even certain portions of Mahabharata, if anybody is interested in Dwarka, even today, and I'm not sure how many of you have, read upon Professor Emeritus S.R. Rao, the person who discovered Dwarka for us, So Dwarka, the walled city, Dwarka means the walled city, which was built from the reclaimed land by the name of Kushasthali. Dwarka's description, as mentioned in Harivansh Puran or in parts of Mahabharata, Professor Rao, when he did his excavation in 1980s, early 1980s, was stunned to find the descriptions matching exactly as per his findings. That's very astonishing, and people don't know even today. And I was talking only a couple of months back with Professor Birendra Mishra, who applies the latest satellite analog technology to see where Dwarka is right now. And he tells me a story today, which I wanted to share with you, that even today, from Bhed Dwarka, 15 kilometers from Bhed Dwarka, if you go, even today, people and even the Muslim boat makers over there, who are there settled for generations, even they go inside the sea, 15 kilometers from the Bhed Dwarka island, and pour milk over there, because they believe the Mahal of Sri Krishna, exists there, and he clearly applies the satellite analog technology to bring out those facts. So, and as you can see, Mathura, Hastinapur, Indraprastha, Kurukshetra, and Dwarka, Harivansh Puran gives vital details for it. Now comes the resurrection of Brajmandal. Before we go to get into the specific of any particular site, resurrection of Brajmandal, I have mapped it in the 4 stages. So the first one was done by Maharaj Shatrughna when he killed Lavanasur in Madhuban, and he built the fortified and walled city surrounded by moats, in Mathura, and renamed it as Madhupuri. From Madhupuri to Mathura, it was also named as Sursen, at that same point of time. Then the second one was done by Devki Putra Krishna, and I personally believe that Sri Krishna was the biggest environmentalist that we had. He cleared the waters from pollution, Kalyanag, Aghasur, so many serpents. He planted trees, he created innumerable kunds and sarovars, and also looked at the cattle grazing, reared the cattle, and looked at nature worship. The second set of the resurrection happens, which is probably the most important one, and which we will cover in greater details in the next slide, and the most important slide, was done by Maharaj Vajranav. Maharaj Vajranav was the great grandson of Sri Krishna. So from Krishna to Pradyumna, from Pradyumna to Anirudh, from Anirudh to, Vajranav. And he was the son, Anirudh was married to the daughter of Banasur, Usha, Maharani Usha, and, who was his mother. So this happened around 100 years from the, Kurukshetra war. So that's why I marked it as a popular date as 3000 BCE. And then comes the Bhakti movement, middle of 16th century, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ballabacharya, these two saints, Avatar Purush appears in Vrajmandal and resurrects Vraj. Vraj was in complete shambles due to Islamic iconoclasm, constant raids. It was completely in jungles, shattered, everything lost. And it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his 6 Goswamis, and then followed by Vallabhacharya, who worked tirelessly to revive those places and also start many of those old lost customs, basically. Then comes the 18th century when the Marathas come into power, followed by the Jats. And Marathas, as we all know, there's hardly any teeth in Bharatvarsh which is not touched by the Marathas, and even Vrajmandal is one of them. And it would be very pertinent also for all of you to know the name of one gentleman, Frederick Solomon Grouse, F.S. Grouse, who was the British collector from 1868 to 1876 of Mathura. And he was the first person, who actually started another set of modern resurrection, I would say, in terms of mapping the number of temples. He mapped around 5,000 temples in the entire Brajbhumi, of which around only 1,000 survive today. And he wrote all these details in his book, Memoirs of Mathura. And let me tell you another story. When we covered the Govind Dev Ji temple, I will get into the greater details of what his contribution was. So coming to Maharaj Vajranav, and let me tell you, the deity is of Govind Dev Ji, whose face resembles that of Devkiputra Krishna. And, when Maharaj Yudhishthir, before he left from Mahaprasthan, he coronated Vajranav as the king of Mathura Mandal and Maharaj Parikshit for Hastinapur. So inspired by Maharaj Parikshit and Maharshi Shandilya, Maharaj Vajranav created, he was 13 years old then, and he created the 16 deities which we still carry today. So some of these deities are still available and for darshan for us. So one of them is, Govind Dev Ji. So these are all 5,000-year-old deities. And you should take a note. So he created 16. What are these? So 4 Devs. Haridev, who is right now in Govardhan. Baldev, who is right now in Baldev, Mathura. Keshav Dev, who is lost, of course. And Keshav Dev is none other than what Dr. Meenakshi Jain says, that Katra Keshav Dev. So it's the same Keshav Dev, and then Govind Dev, whose picture you can see. And I've given the current locations also for all these deities. So Govind Dev Ji is now in Jaipur City Palace. Then 2 Naths, Srinath Ji and Gopinath. So Srinath Ji is in Nathwara, as we rightly know, and Gopinath Ji is again in Jaipur, in Purani Basti. 2 Gopals, Madan Gopal and Sakshi Gopal. Sakshi Gopal is in Puri and Madan Gopal again is in Karoli. So Madan Gopal is also known as Madan Mohan Ji. And 4 Devis, Brinda Devi, Mansa Devi, Patal Devi and Devi Yogmaya. And 4 Mahadevs, Chakleshwar, Gopeshwar, Kameshwar and Bhuteshwar. So most of these Shivlings are lost and due to continuous Islamic iconoclasm, and then, and if I look at the Kali Yuga and Ghor Kali Yuga, the Hun invasion was the first invasion which started with Mathura Mandal. That was in early 7th century, then followed by the 650 years of Islamic iconoclasm, where, starts with Mahmud of Ghazni, Lodhis, Aurangzeb to end with it. And then in the middle of that comes the Bhakti movement, when Vraj and the entire Mathura Mandal is revived by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Vallabhacharya. And during this phase, we will see pictures in the next slide. During this phase, the most opulent temple of North India, the Govind Dev Ji, when North India was under the grip of extreme Islamic iconoclasm, Govind Dev Ji's temple comes up by Raja Man Singh under the patronage of Akbar, So Akbar gave 134 bighas of zameen. The farmans are there, as for the temple's service, and also red sandstone, which was used in any Mughal architecture those days. So red sandstones which were brought from Agra Fort and used for this making of this temple. And then happens the era of Alamgir Aurangzeb, when during 1670, all the deities, starts moving because of his attack on Mathura and Vrindavan. And the interesting point which people many a times we miss out is the Katra Keshav Dev, which was the last of the opulent temples built by Veer Singh Bundela of Orcha, He actually gave 18 tons of gold, 18 tons of gold. And the Vigraha which was there at that point of time was 15 feet tall, gold with eyes of sapphire and rubies, okay? That was the idol or the Vigraha which Aurangzeb took down. And this is the same Vigraha which is right now kept in the Agra mosque, at the pedestal. Aurangzeb one day was taking a stroll on the Agra fort, and that was the time when he saw a light emanating from a distance of some 20-25 miles, kilometers. So he was furious and he said, "What is this light burning at the middle of the night?" So somebody told him that this is Katra Keshav Dev, and it used to be a 2.5 man ka pradeep jo har waqt jalta tha. And he issued a farman the next day and to take down Katra Keshav Dev. And since there were Rajputs still in his court, the message passed on to all the Mahantas and Goswamis of Vraj and Mathura, and they started the exodus. The exodus started of the deities to save them. And that's a wonderful, it's a painful story that I'm going to share with you in small, with special mention to Govind Dev Ji. So basically, this one farman for Katra Keshav Dev is used to take down all the temples of Vraj and Mathura, or even Gokul. Okay, this thing. So what happens? Katra Keshav Dev is taken down, but at the same time, Govind Dev Ji is taken down, Gopinath Ji is taken down, Madan Mohan is taken down, Jugal Kushav Ji is taken down. All other red sandstone temples are taken down. There were 4 red sandstone temples which were approved by Akbar, which were Govind Dev Ji, Madan Mohan Ji, Gopinath Ji, and Jugal Kishore Ji. So one generation approved and built it, the other generation, took it down. So this is the picture of the most opulent temple which is there in Vraj today, even today, the Govind Dev Ji temple. It's an Indo-Islamic style which resembles, you can see the Rajput Gharana in the architecture, and the inside arches are the Mughal arches. So obviously, Man Singh had to do that in order to keep a diplomatic relation alive with Akbar. And this was a 7-story temple which now exists in 3-story. And what I personally feel the biggest contribution of Frederick Solomon Grouse is Aurangzeb, after bringing it down, had built a mazar on top of that, so that every day people can climb up and offer the prayers over there. And Grouse Sahib was such a benevolent man that the first thing he did after looking at this opulent structure, he said that this is absolute poetry on stone. This is on records. He said poetry on stone. And he removed that mazar. He removed that mazar. So had he not been there, I don't know what would have happened today, because we know what's happening in Gyanvapi today. Now, this is a Sapta Devalaya, the 7 key temples of Vraj. And as I was saying, that out of the 4 temples that were commissioned under Akbar's approval, these are the 3 temples, the Govind Dev Ji, Gopinath Ji, and Madan Mohan Ji. If you see the slide, I have mentioned face, torso, and feet. Why did I mention that? The description that is there in Srimad Bhagavatam and Harivansh Puran, that the 13-year-old Mahajan Vajranath, who was a master sculptor, himself, started making, Krishna Vigrahas after hearing description of Sri Krishna from his mother Usha, because she was the only person alive who had seen Devki Putra Krishna alive and interacted. And when he built when he completed the first deity, his mother said it resembles of his Sri Charan. So that is Madan Mohanji, who is in Karoli right now. And you can see his original place in Vrindavan, the temple still standing there tall. Then the second deity when he built, when he completed, his mother said that he resembles the torso till here. So that is the Gopinath Ji temple, which is still there in the Gopinath Bazaar in Vrindavan. And then finally came, Govind Dev Ji. So when Govind Dev Ji's deity was completed, Mother Usha just moved her pallu over here, that the face had such a striking resemblance with Krishna. These are the three key deities of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and as you can see that Akbar, when he visited Vraj in 1570 along with Maharaja Man Singh, he commissioned or gave approvals for this temple, and then obviously these deities took a mass exodus, or the flight of deities happened in 1670. These deities are currently spread across UP, Orissa, Rajasthan and MP. The Jugal Kishorji deity is in MP. So I took up Madhuban, and you can see the lat long is given, the locations are given. So in Satyayug, it was Madhu Rakshas was slayed by Sriman Narayan, and that is how he got the name of Madhusudan. Bhakta Dhruv made his penance over here and attained moksha, and emergence of Surasen as a Nagari over there. The picture is of the current forest which is there in Madhuban. In Treta Yuga, Maharaj Shatrughna annihilates Lavanasur and establishes Madhupuri or Madura, a heavily fortified city, and coronation takes place in Madhuban. In Dwapar Yuga, Sri Krishna arrives for his Gocharan Leela. On the Gopashtami day, when Nand Baba gives his permission to go for cattle grazing, he arrives over here with 9 lakh cows. Okay, and then obviously it was resurrected by Maharaj Vrajanav. In Ghor Kali Yuga, Ballavacharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrives over here. Ballavacharya's seat is still there, preserved in Krishna Kund. And then the growing deforestation cover, is a matter of highest concern, because the forest is almost just, constrained to a single village now. And obviously genocide by the invaders, which we all know. These are the pictures of the Lavanasur Gufa, the Dhruv Tila where Maharaj Dhruv did his penance, the Dhruv Kund where he used to have his drinking water, and the Krishna Kund which was created by Sri Krishna. The historicity in Kali Yuga and Ghor Kali Yuga, Buddha, gave Katayan and Upagupta Buddhism, and then you can see the other Jainism, this thing. Some of them we have discussed. The Shungas, Shakas, Mauryas have ruled over there, visited by Huensang, Megasthenes and other foreign travelers, plundered by Ghazni, Khilji, Lodi, Mughals, and resurrection we have already discussed, and obviously visited by many saints. The Vraj Chaurasi Cross Parikrama, as per Puranic references, the first one was done by Uddhav Maharaj, and then it was revived primarily by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and also by Vallavacharya, who himself undertook three rounds of it. And then, a geographical description of 300 kilometers, of which Govardhan occupies a key importance of 22 kilometers stretch. An archaeologist's nightmare, of course, there are tilas. When the Yamunaji moves on, it creates mounds in Mathura, or Vraj. So there are so many mounds over there still unexcavated till date, and I've given the names, some of them. I have also provided certain numbers in terms of how many painted grave sites, Mauryan sites, Gupta sites, Kushan sites, and the state archaeology is not taking care of it. ASI is not taking care, and I have requested for a ground penetrating radar survey so that we understand by doing this ground penetrating radar that what is there in the under these mounds. You don't need to actually excavate these days. You have a high-end technology available for that. And then, of course, to end my discussion, I will close it with only one quote, which, Adi Sankara had said, and which was further reiterated by Raja Gopalacharya or Rajaji, that knowledge, if it doesn't matures into bhakti, is useless. So I'll close my discussion with that, and thank you everyone for giving a patient hearing. Thank you.